Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled in a lush valley, there lived a young girl named Elara. She was known far and wide for her radiant smile and her fiery red hair that seemed to dance like flames in the sunlight. But what truly set Elara apart was the fire within her. It was not a mere metaphorical fire, but a magical one that burned deep in her heart. From a very young age, Elara had been aware of the burning ember within her. It was a power passed down through generations of her family, a gift that allowed her to control and harness the element of fire. Her grandmother had taught her to keep it a secret, as such abilities were often feared and misunderstood. But Elara's heart was pure, and she longed to use her gift for the betterment of her village. One crisp autumn morning, disaster struck. A terrible drought had gripped the land, causing crops to wither and rivers to run dry. The villagers were desperate, and despair hung heavy in the air. Elara, unable to bear their suffering any longer, decided it was time to reveal her gift and offer her help. She gathered the villagers in the center of the village, beneath the ancient oak tree that stood as a symbol of hope. As she stood before them, her eyes began to glow with the fiery intensity of her power, and a hushed silence fell over the crowd. "I have a gift," Elara began, her voice steady and strong, "a gift that can save our village from this drought. But I need your trust and your support." She went on to explain her ability to control fire, and how she could use it to summon rain and rejuvenate the parched earth. The villagers were skeptical at first, but the sincerity in her eyes and the desperation in their hearts eventually convinced them to give her a chance. With the villagers' consent, Elara focused all her energy on her inner fire. She closed her eyes and whispered incantations passed down from her grandmother. Slowly, the fire within her began to manifest outward, forming a fiery halo around her. With a flourish of her hands, she sent tendrils of flame into the sky, where they danced and swirled like fiery serpents. As the villagers watched in awe, the clouds above began to gather, and raindrops started to fall. The gentle rain soon turned into a downpour, drenching the thirsty land. The fields soaked up the moisture, and the rivers began to flow once more. The village came back to life as crops sprouted and flowers bloomed, and the once sullen faces of the villagers transformed into smiles of joy and gratitude. Elara's gift had saved the village from certain ruin, and the villagers hailed her as their savior. But Elara knew that it wasn't just her power that had brought about this miracle. It was the unity and trust of her community that had made it possible. The fire within her had been the catalyst for change, but the fire within their hearts had been the true source of their salvation. From that day forward, Elara used her gift to help her village whenever they faced adversity. She became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the fire within could light the way to a better future. And as the years passed, the valley flourished, not just with the abundance of crops and water, but also with the warmth of love, unity, and the fire of hope that burned brightly in the hearts of all who lived there.